In the quiet wood-paneled rooms where diplomacy lives, most meetings are predictable, scheduled, scripted, and safe. But on a crisp day in a neutral European capital, two delegations met in secret: Israel, a regional power, and Somaliland, a country that officially doesn't exist. No cameras, no press, just a quiet conversation that could redraw the political map of the Horn of Africa. The world's attention is elsewhere, but here, geopolitics is shifting. For Somaliland, this is a bold step in its quest for recognition. For Israel, a strategic move in a vital maritime corridor. This meeting is more than a courtesy. It's a challenge to old rules and a forging of new partnerships in the shadows. Somaliland, after decades of building a stable democratic state, remains unrecognized. Israel, whose own legitimacy was once contested, understands this struggle. By engaging, Israel lends Somaliland a legitimacy lobbying never could. It's a quiet nod from one de facto state to another. The implications ripple outward, forcing neighbors and global powers to reconsider their positions. This handshake, unseen by the world, could have consequences for years to come. History is often made not with a bang, but with a whisper in a quiet room. In this moment, the audacity is electric. The world may not have noticed, but the game has changed. To grasp the weight of this meeting, you must understand the Horn of Africa, a crossroads where Africa meets the Middle East. It's the gateway to the Red Sea and Suez Canal, a choke point for global trade. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, and Somalia have been shaped by centuries of conflict and competition. The region's instability has global consequences. Piracy, extremism, and superpower rivalries all converge here. Djibouti hosts military bases for the US, China, and France. Somalia struggles with chaos. Ethiopia seeks influence. Somaliland's story unfolds in this turbulent context. Control over ports like Berbera and Djibouti is a strategic prize. In this fragile environment, a single diplomatic move, like Israel meeting Somaliland, can send shockwaves through the system. Every player is forced to recalculate. Somaliland's story is one of resilience. In 1991, as Somalia collapsed, Somaliland declared independence, ignored by the world, left to fend for itself. Against all odds, it built a functioning democracy, held credible elections, and rebuilt its capital, Hargeisa. It has its own currency, army, and port, yet remains in diplomatic limbo. The African Union fears encouraging other secessionist movements, so recognition is withheld. Somaliland is praised for stability, but denied the recognition it needs to thrive. It's a nation in practice, not in law. This self-reliance makes it an attractive partner for Israel, offering not a handout, but a partnership based on shared values. Somaliland's success is a quiet rebuke to the failed state narrative. Israel's interest in the Horn of Africa is strategic and long-standing. Unable to make peace with its neighbors, Israel's periphery doctrine sought alliances with non-Arab states, including those in the Horn. Today, Israel's main concern is freedom of navigation through the Red Sea, especially the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Disruption here would devastate Israel's economy and security. Israel quietly builds relationships with countries along the Red Sea, and Somaliland fits perfectly into this strategy. Somaliland's long coastline offers Israel a potential intelligence post and a friendly partner at a critical choke point. For Israel, the cost of engagement is low, but the strategic benefits are immense. It's a pragmatic move, strengthening Israel's position while challenging the diplomatic status quo. Quiet diplomacy here is a masterstroke. For Somaliland, meeting Israel is a leap toward its ultimate goal: international recognition. Even a secret handshake signals to the world that Somaliland is a credible partner. Israel's engagement breaks a diplomatic taboo, making it easier for others to follow. This act cracks open a door, sealed for decades. Beyond symbolism, Israel offers practical expertise in technology, agriculture, and security. Somaliland could benefit from Israeli know-how in water management and counterterrorism. These tangible gains strengthen Somaliland's case for recognition. The relationship shifts from symbolic to transformative. This single meeting is worth more than millions in aid. It confers legitimacy. It's an investment in Somaliland's future. The Israel-Somaliland meeting sends immediate ripples across the region. Somalia's government will condemn it, seeing a threat to its territorial claims. Ethiopia may welcome the move, strengthening its own ties with Somaliland. Djibouti, fearing competition from Berbera's port, will push back diplomatically. Global powers like the US and China will watch closely, balancing interests and alliances. The Arab world will be split, some quietly supportive, others loudly opposed. The meeting forces every actor to reveal their hand. The region's complex web of alliances and rivalries is exposed. A single handshake has redrawn the diplomatic map. In an age of headlines and spectacle, real change often begins in secret. The Israel-Somaliland meeting is a masterclass in quiet diplomacy. Relationships are built incrementally. First a meeting, then intelligence sharing, maybe a trade office. Each step is small enough to avoid crisis, but together, they normalize the relationship. This gradual approach is especially effective in the sensitive Horn of Africa. Public declarations would provoke backlash. Quiet engagement achieves results. Both sides test the waters, build trust, and demonstrate mutual benefit before seeking public approval. By the time the world notices, the relationship is a fact on the ground. Quiet diplomacy today lays the foundation for tomorrow's recognition. The rules change before anyone realizes. The true power of the Israel-Somaliland meeting is in shifting what's possible. For decades, Somaliland's status was seen as frozen, reconciliation with Mogadishu the only path. This meeting shatters that assumption, introducing a new variable. Israel's engagement signals that Somaliland's stability can be rewarded directly. Hargeisa gains leverage, becoming a strategic actor with powerful friends. Other countries and organizations may now reconsider their rigid policies. The meeting acts as a catalyst for pragmatic, reality-based diplomacy. The conversation shifts from if to how Somaliland can be recognized. Even if formal recognition is distant, the landscape has changed. A small nation, through smart diplomacy, is reshaping its destiny. History often turns not on wars but on quiet, courageous decisions. The Israel-Somaliland meeting may not make headlines today, but it could be a turning point for the Horn of Africa. It's a story of self-determination, strategic geography, and unlikely partnerships. The region remains fraught with challenges, but this meeting introduces hope and dynamism. It challenges failed approaches and opens doors to creative diplomacy. Even in difficult circumstances, agency and vision can create new possibilities. This meeting is more than a curiosity. It's a seed planted for the future. The ground is prepared and the map feels less fixed, more like a work in progress. History may record this as the moment when everything began to change. Sometimes, a whisper in a quiet room is all it takes. As the dust settles on that quiet meeting, the world outside begins to notice subtle shifts. Diplomats in distant capitals exchange cautious glances. Analysts pore over new maps. In Somaliland, young entrepreneurs and seasoned elders dare to imagine new futures once considered impossible. In Israel, policymakers weigh the risks and rewards of this unconventional outreach. What began as a tentative conversation now echoes through boardrooms, government halls, and bustling marketplaces. Neighbors watch with a mixture of curiosity and concern, wondering what changes might arrive on the next tide. Old alliances are quietly questioned, and new ones are tentatively explored. The meeting's impact isn't immediate or explosive. It's gradual, like ripples fanning out across calm water. But these ripples carry the promise of new trade routes, shared security, and a reimagined regional order. The Horn of Africa, so often shaped by outside forces, now finds its own voice resonating louder on the world stage. The seeds sown in secrecy begin to break the surface. The world is watching, waiting to see what will grow. In the aftermath of a single moment, possibilities multiply, and hope takes root in unexpected places. Behind the headlines and beyond the official statements, a quieter story unfolds. In embassies and back offices, unsung diplomats, seasoned negotiators, and local influencers become the silent architects of change. Their work is patient, often invisible. Phone calls at midnight, encrypted messages exchanged, trust slowly built over endless cups of tea. In Somaliland, community leaders gather in shaded courtyards, weighing the prospects of new partnerships. They debate, they dream, and they plan, aware that the choices they make now could shape generations. In Tel Aviv, policy advisors analyze shifting regional sands, searching for stability in unpredictability. Elsewhere, international observers recalibrate their strategies, realizing that the Horn of Africa's emerging agency cannot be ignored. Aid organizations reassess priorities, investors quietly scout for opportunity, and journalists search for the next piece of the puzzle. It is here, in these unseen moments, that history is truly made, not with grand declarations but with careful listening, hard compromises, and the courage to imagine a different future. The world may watch for dramatic turns, but it is the steady, determined efforts of these silent architects that will decide whether the promise of change becomes reality. The story continues, written in the margins by those who believe that progress is possible, even when no one is watching. When the dust settles and headlines fade, what remains is the quiet imprint of change. The world rarely pauses to notice the slow transformation of a region once overlooked, or the subtle shifts in alliances that rewrite the future. Yet, in the stillness that follows, the impact becomes clear. Lives shaped, borders redrawn, and possibilities once unthinkable now within reach. In Somaliland, the morning sun rises over new roads and bustling markets, symbols of a nation forging its own path. In distant capitals, policymakers revisit old assumptions, forced to acknowledge the agency of those they once dismissed. And in the hearts of ordinary people, hope flickers. Fragile, but alive. The story of these hidden negotiations and improbable handshakes reminds us that history is not solely the product of power, but of perseverance. It is crafted by those willing to risk, to listen, and to believe in something better. As the world continues to turn, the lessons of this chapter remain. That quiet diplomacy can move mountains, and that even in the most unlikely places, the seeds of change can take root. The future is unwritten, but for now, the architects of possibility have left their mark. The world watches, waits, and wonders. What new stories will rise from the silence?